And John Williams, the first co-speaker of the House of Delegates. And Homer Adams enjoying chicken.
Leave it alone. Don't even go there.
Another picture of Homer. Here is John Williams with Jim Terrell from Washington, D.C. And who are the others?
I don't know. I think they're from Dallas.
Okay.
This was at the Dallas Gay. There was a Dallas Gay Pride thing at an arena that we went to, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was a highlight.
Yes, you can.
We visited the Mesquite Rodeo whereas I recalled we endangered ourselves not only by being ourselves but also by rooting for the bulls. The people were getting very upset with us. Also attending were Ken Allen, once of Memphis, then of Chicago, also known as Patsy Cline. What?
Patsy Slime.
Oh,
Swine. Oh.
Slime.
Slime.
Oh, well, excuse us.
Slime. Oh, I didn't know that. Vincent Henderson from Dallas. He always put on a good show. Robert Dingle and Frank Federico. Paul Cloutier, Michael Osowski, Erwin Rothenberg, and Douglas Noble. That's me and Loren. Paul Sears from Detroit. Ken Allen. Don Moses from Youngstown. Renee Seidel from LA. Paul and Renee again.
That's at Doug Noble's house.
I recognize the drapes.
Yeah.
Don't make any comments about the drink. Leave it alone.
Oh,
Give me a break.
The talent show featured the immortal and timeless Madam X. And Robert Dingle of Washington, D.C. Patsy Slime.
We're very glad to get that correction.
Wow. Fabulous Patsy.
Wow.
She first came out in Detroit.
The following spring of 1994, the Board of Directors met in St. Louis in conjunction with the Midland region. Another picture of the board meeting.
The man third from the left is Robert Owens from Philadelphia, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who was the recording secretary at the time. The other people, Bob Williams, Alvin Venuti, and Jim Terrell. Those are the four officers at that time.
And at the 1994 convention held outside of Washington, D.C., our honored guest and speaker was Holocaust survivor Nina Katz of Memphis, we also toured the Holocaust Museum, who also toured it with us, and shown here with Gene Randolph from Dallas. Okay, do we need to take just a stretch, or everybody okay?
Yeah,
We're going through the years.
we won't have time for our panel discussion. It's taking a little longer than it did when we ran through it, but we'll try to speed it up a little. All right, from 1995, we think that the second phase of the organization sort of ended after the 94 convention. At least we think so. From 1995, the NA seemed to enter a third phase, what we have chosen to call the years of renewal, with more focus on long-range planning and particular priorities, such as maintaining a national office, documenting its history, and most significantly, fighting racism through workshops and outreach of the Multiracial, Multicultural Institute, which was really the brainchild of this man here, Wes Everett. That convention was held in Key West. Sorry, I flipped ahead. With Tim West of Detroit and Les Everett of Chicago as co-chairs. And Homer Adams was still Speaker of the House of Delegates at the time, and he is speaking.
And Homer and Michael Harrington of Chicago were the two that actually put on the convention.
That's right, and that's the next slide. Or 2 slides. That's okay. That's okay. This was at our banquet, which was the hottest banquet we've ever had, and that is referring to the weather. Michael Harrington of Chicago, who, along with Homer, pretty much, not the last minute, but close to it, really pulled this convention together. It was a very interesting convention because we had different types of workshops. They were kind of introspective workshops about the organization, and it really came off very well. I think it was a great convention in terms of content. Well, Luis Mott of Grupo Gay da Bahia, Salvador, Brazil, attended. By now, we had established an office in Chicago, and when it moved to Washington, D.C., Will Brennan, shown on the left here, became our employee office manager, shown here with low rent, Paul Sears. As usual, John Bush was selling the NA Journal, which he edited. The only 3 men who up to then and until last year had attended every NA convention, John Bush, James Creedle, and Tim Wilson. Well, not in that order, but you know the order. Tim unfortunately had to miss last year, but he's back and he's on the panel, and we'll give him credit. But when we all stand at the thing, we'll see what he does. Madam X and Skip White of Louisville and Detroit. Paul Cloutier and Eric Brown of San Francisco.
See what the group did?
No, he was that way before.
Oh.
He was.
Wes Root of Greensboro. Jay Smith of San Antonio, and Tony Foster of Atlanta, who had become by then, I believe, the second black co-speaker of the House of Delegates, along with Homer. Homer was still speaker at that time. Jim Hittner of San Jose, who you probably all know from, if you've ever registered for a convention. He's not here this year, but he's there almost every year. Steve Ball of Chicago, Andre Gillard of New York, I think.
Oh, well, he was San Francisco. He was San Francisco.
At that time?
Right.
And
Robert Schwartz.
Robert Schwartz of San Francisco. This is all at the Key West Convention. Chris Ernest of Tampa on the right with his partner, whose name we do not know, but he was on the board briefly, Chris was. And this is Chris in his alter ego.
Really?
Yeah.
And the Black Caucus in Key West. Along the front, besides Michael Harrington, John Bush, Sherlin Aird. David Morris directly behind Sherlin. Don Ransom over to the far right. Gavin. Nate O'Neill in the black shirt in the middle.
Stevie Martin Chester, Ollie,
Right.
Ed Dingle.
Chris Dorsey on top there.
Ed Dillard. Bob Williams, top right. Dwayne Rayford. The Cleveland Convention, 1996. The Planning Committee of Cleveland. I do not know.
Well, John Green was there on the...
Who's that on the far left? Is that
Tim West.
That's
The-
Toby.
No, not on the far left. Is it?
Toby
Oh,
Lackey on the
that's
far
Toby
left.
Lackey. Toby Lackey.
On the far left?
Maybe you could speed it up if you didn't try to name everybody.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right, we won't. Ron Evans of Cleveland. Well, John, you know them all, but not all these people do, and they're interested, perhaps.
No, I don't know them all, but I don't think you have to know all their names.
Ron Evans of
Someone
Cleveland. Scott Bibb, Ron Evans, and Roger Gee of Cleveland. Roger later became House of Delegates co-speaker. Chuck Morick Chuck Morick and Bob Tillman of Youngstown with Paul Cloutier. Paul Hawkins with Ken Pavlik of Los Angeles, later of South Florida, and still coming. Joe Califf of Washington, D.C., Robert Dingell's longtime partner, and Bruce Menapace, earlier of San Francisco, now of Cleveland. Walt Barable of Detroit. Brad Green of Washington, D.C., who edited our newsletter at one time and is taking over our website, and Burnell Wiggins of Detroit. John Bush and Don Ransom. Milton and Rodney, again, Louisville. Max Hunter from South Florida, Key West, and Vincent Hubbard from the island of Nevis, Caribbean. Jay Smith, San Antonio, Jim Ivory, John Turner of Memphis, and George Clements, Jim and George, longtime partners from San Francisco. John Spear and Nate O'Neill of Philadelphia. Dwayne Rayford of San Francisco and David Meisner of Los Angeles. Tim Springer of the Twin Cities, then the recording secretary of the NA. Robert Dingell and Eric Brown. All right. Preston Schumacher of Chicago, one of our panelists today. Blur this.
Everybody gets their day of the sunset.
Pictures don't lie. John Kavanaugh of Detroit. A longtime direct national member who disclaims any affiliation with this chapter. Right, John? Are you here? Yes, exactly. From the 1997 convention, we at least have a photo of the NA banner. That was the convention in Charlotte.
Although we got the W and the M mixed up.
We don't have an M. There's no M.
It's upside down.
We went through a phase, so we got past it. Well, there have been regional meetings off and on over the years. The Midland certainly being the healthiest and most enduring of the regionals, and unfortunately we don't have a picture of that. But local chapters have also had annual events, anniversaries, and etc. For years, Memphis, for example, just as one example, had a Memorial Day weekend anniversary workshop gathering coinciding with the city's Memphis in May celebration. And here in 1998 are Paul Sears and Chuck Allen of Memphis, who always hosted a wonderful dinner for us during the Memphis in May celebration. Toby Lackey and Chip Atterbury of St. Louis with Irwin. Toby was corresponding secretary of the NA for several years. And Ed Dillard of Memphis at his famous barbecue, which always capped off the weekend. Well, the 1998 convention was held in Fort Lauderdale. This is the hotel, and this is the view.
Holiday Inn.
And this is the Convention Planning Committee from the South Florida chapter. Max Hunter in front, Ollie on the right, Bill Weber, the tall guy in the middle at the back, who was later NA treasurer, Glenn Buffia, the guy who's sort of leaning down there on the back, who was on the board for a while. These are all present or past NA co-chairs. Ed Fleming, Homer Adams, James Creedle, Les Everett, Tim West, Bob Williams, Al Benvenuti, Tim Wilson, and John Bush. House. Oh, I'm sorry. These are three. Well, I'm sorry. These are three of the co-chairs with Mandy Carter, of course, longtime supporter of this organization and recipient of our Lifetime Achievement Award, and also a convention speaker from North Carolina. House of Delegates Speaker Ronald Jefferson of Dallas, who succeeded Tony Foster. And this is the then current Board of Directors from Fort Lauderdale. The new people that you haven't seen on the bottom row, the last two, Dan Mins of DC and John Vivo of Youngstown, and I think everyone else you've seen before. Bobby Mays of Dallas and Dwayne Rayford of San Francisco. Frank Federico, I do not know if anyone knows who that is on the left. We can't identify. Stephen Les, along with Chuck Allen of Memphis. What happened to Steve's face? It's silver. We'll go ahead. It didn't look that way on the small screen. I don't know what happened up there. Paul Sears and his date. Anything will do in a pinch. This is Betsy Ross of Philadelphia, also known as Nate O'Neill, advertising next year's convention in Philadelphia. At which point, Les.
In 1999, here's Robert Williams, who is the former NA co-chair. He was convention co-chair. Ollie Lee Taylor receiving the Lifetime Achievement Award. Here is a group, Jack McBrocious and Maury Mullen and Craig Jackson.
Jack Cardone from DC.
Oh, Jack Cardone.
Cardone.
Philadelphia hosts, Stevie Martin Chester, Rodney Fry, Nate O'Neill, and Art Martin Chester. Picture of Alonzo Way, who was a trustee of the Michael Smith Trust.
From Atlanta.
Here's Ed Brown and Homer Adams, future NA co-chairs. Stephen Matchett and myself. John Williams and Dwayne Rayford sharing a laugh. In 2000, we returned to San Francisco, which was held at the Holiday Inn on Van Ness with a fine view of the city. Here's me and James Creedle. Erwin, Dan, and Jason Callahan, who was our office administrator at the time. Here's George Clements and Jim Ivory, San Francisco. Victor Fabro from Cincinnati. Robert Morrison and Al Benvenuti.
Detroit.
Bill Bula and Ken Forsyth.
From Washington, D.C.
We run out of time. New Orleans, 2001. Tim and I were co-chairs of that convention. Todd Hazen, formerly of San Diego, then Chicago, and Alonzo Wade. Terry Higgins from San Francisco, Paul Cloutier, and Steve Zeminski from Philadelphia. Two more long-term couples. Seen them before. Here's the Dallas delegation. Preston and Wendell Reed and Dwayne and Sherlin and our speaker Julius Powell.
He was from
Jamaica. Yes, Jamaica. Back to Florida in 2002 in Miami Beach. And this was our placemat. They had a placemat that they drew. And here's the Art Deco Hotel, the Shelburne, of faded elegance. Madam X put on a display of her life and times there.
Oh, man.
Another picture of Madam. Echo Chambers performed, also known as Michael Ross. Oh, she's in it. Doug Reynolds presenting a Personal Achievement Award to Paul Hawkins for his pioneering work on the MRMCI. Daniel Hall from Chicago and Nat Martin from Atlanta, MRMCI workshop facilitators. Here's a view of the participants in the workshop. Rudy Rudolph from Atlanta, perennial behind the scenes, rock of dedication and treasure of multiple conventions. The Philadelphia delegation. This is it Dilbert?
Yeah.
Dilbert Hatchett and Dan Murphy, longtime South Florida couple. In 2003, we went to Kansas City, and here's the convention banner. NA co-chairs Paul and Wendell. Another shot of Paul. John Bush, Dr. Bush.
Missed out the Darrell.
Oh yeah.
No, it's fucking slow.
Darrell Williams of Detroit in the middle.
Ollie Lee. Adan. Ollie and his partner John. Adan's partner John. I'll only comment on those that we haven't shown before from now on. We'll just give you a glimpse of them. Dell, maybe we haven't mentioned him before. Bill Weber, who was our treasurer. Seen them before. This is Herb Murray and Tom Murrin of Tampa. We know them.
The Chambers family.
We know her. That is Madam X, if somebody remembers.
That was there.
John Bevo. I don't know what his name is. Okay.
Lots of people wore that hair after.
Ken Pavlik of South Florida and Charles Moore of Pittsburgh. Colin Gibson, we've seen Jim several times. Finally in Atlanta last year, the skyline from the hotel. Convention coaches, David Sproul and Walter Coffey. The White Caucus. I had the pleasure of interviewing Madam X for our archives. That was interesting. Our Long Beach guys. Ken Barron and Max Scott, Long Beach, along with Chuck Allen on the left. Larry Van Hook,
St. Louis.
St. Louis, yes. Oh, I don't know what that is. This is Regis from Philadelphia receiving the Co-Chairs Award. John Bush receiving the National Action Award. And Tim West receiving the Lifetime Achievement Award. Happy birthday, 2005. We started off in San Francisco. We did a visit to our to the International Museum of GLBT History in San Francisco. It's where our archives are housed. Sherlin, now it's New York, right? He's in New York?
Yeah.
Yes. Attended the event. There's us having a good time. Part of the group attending the celebration.
And the guy on the green shirt performed at the celebration.
All right. This, the board of directors were meeting. This is when we were outside due to a fire alarm in the building. We had to get out. And we had one here too. Then we moved to Washington, D.C. in April.
That was grand.
And Steve actually took this beautiful picture. There's the reception in the Raven building, which was very elegant, very nice.
Tom DeLay couldn't join us, unfortunately.
Here's Congressional Delegate Eleanor Holmes Norton of D.C., who was our host for the weekend. It's presenting us with a congressional plaque here, and it's on display in the registration room.
It's in the program book as well.
Oh, it's in the program book as well. This is D.C. Councilwoman Carol Swartz, who attended the event and spoke to us.
She was a very big fan of the Republican.
Yeah, she's Republican. Yeah. Here, Chris Bates, who was one of our early members also, is presenting this certificate to Congresswoman Swartz. Councilwoman, yes. The event organizers, Steve Lowe and Dan Mintz, did an outstanding job putting this together. Here's Doug receiving historical contributions from Walter Nagel, who was partner of the late Bayard Rustin. Here are the DC chapter members accepting an appreciation certificate at the event. DC members Ken Clark, Mark Thompson host the reception at their home, which was a very, very interesting place.
Different chambers.
Here's Chris Bates and former NA coach chair A. Billy Jones.
We haven't seen him in a long time.
That's a historic thing.
And that's our banner that was on display. That's it.